and welcome to Pop Culture Beasts Halloween Horror Picks. I'm your host, Ryan Stockstead, and today's episode is brought to you by Bonaparte House Films, a Los Angeles production company committed to bringing the projects they believe in to life, and Basement Shorts, a semi-monthly short film screening series in Los Angeles. Be sure to like both Bonaparte House Films and Basement Shorts on Facebook for the latest info. Today we're going to talk about a goofy and thoroughly enjoyable camp classic that represents something of a final death rattle of the British horror anthology tradition of the 1970s.
He likes to leave a very special calling card.
It was the best blood I have ever tasted.
He's giving you a very special invitation. 3 stories to shock you, chill you, thrill you, and make you laugh.
The Monster Club, 1981, the final film by director Roy Ward Baker, who previously made Quatermass in the Pit, The Vampire Lovers, Asylum, The 7 Golden Vampires, and more. It stars Vincent Price in his only film performance as a vampire, and John Carradine, and it features Donald Pleasence, Britt Ekland, Richard Johnson, Simon Ward, Barbara Kellerman, James Laurenson, Stuart Whitman, and Patrick Magee. Here to talk more about the film with me is a very special guest, filmmaker and horror aficionado Matt Dinan. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Sure. I'm feeling like a very special guest right now.
I almost used 2 berries and said very, very special guest. That might have been too much.
Yeah, definitely too much. I'm barely worth 1 berry, I think. I think the audience will agree with me. Barely 1 berry.
Well, what can you tell us about where and how the Monster Club fits in with the whole Amicus horror anthology trend of the 70s?
The Monster Club is a horror anthology film produced by Amicus co-founder Milton Subotsky. Amicus was an English company that produced a lot of horror titles through the 60s and into the mid-70s, most specifically horror anthology pictures like Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, House of Drip Blood, The Torture Garden, some really good stuff. But by the time we get to 81 here, Monster Club feels like a little bit of a throwback. The studio itself had closed down in 77, so this wasn't technically an Amicus picture, even though Subotsky used a lot of stock players and crew and a lot of Amicus resources, if you will.
I should point out that after the Monster Club, Subotsky produced a number of films based upon stories by Stephen King. Movies like Cat's Eye, The Lawnmower Man, Sometimes They Come Back, and Maximum Overdrive. So back to the Monster Club. Tell me, what's the movie about?
The Monster Club opens on horror legend John Carradine, who's playing author R. Chetwynd-Hayes, who in this case gets jumped in an alley by a vampire, played by Vincent Price, who offers him sort of a unique deal here. A bit of blood for information, for material for his next book. And where does Vinny the Vampire think he should bestow some horror knowledge on the author? At the Monster Club.
I will take you to a place where my friends foregather. There are vampires, werewolves, ghouls, every kind of monster you could ever imagine, and some far beyond the imagining of mere mortals. There you will find stories of such blood-curdling terror that it will make your toes curl and your hair reach up towards the sky.
We get to the Monster Club, order some tomato juice and some blood, and then immediately Vincent starts talking about monster genealogy, which is just something you never see, and one of the things that just really caught me when I was a kid. Like, I love this whole idea of a monster family tree where if a vampire and a werewolf mate, you get a werevamp, and a vampire and a ghoul get a this, and it's awesome.
As well as mating with each other, monsters can also mate with human beings. The results are nearly always disastrous, but they will do it.
The first of 3 stories here is about a lonely, sympathetic recluse of a monster called a Shadmock. Or more specifically, it's about a duo of con artists who weasel their way into his life. Barbara Kellerman plays half of that duo, who becomes his secretary and kind of emotionally manipulates him to try and get hold of some of his fortune. And he falls for it. Things don't go well.
I could never love you. Horrible. Horrible. I could never love you, never. You're horrible.
The second story centers on a vampire family man. Played by Richard Johnson, he's married to Britt Ekland and has an only son who doesn't know what his father does.
Your business is so messy. I shouldn't like to think of you being mistaken for a butcher.
Daddy, I wish you could play with me during the day.
No, I work during the night. I must get my sleep.
Are you a waiter?
Oh, no, my son, I am not a waiter. But I suppose I do have something to do with the food trade.
Then Donald Pleasence shows up looking like a priest and ranting like he always is as Dr. Loomis.
My mother told me never to speak to strangers.
But I'm not a stranger. I'm a clergyman.
Eventually, Donald Pleasence and the B squad of vampire killers show up looking for Dad.
Who are you? What do you want?
We are the B Squad, Sonny. The Bleeny. Special branch concerned with blood crimes. We have sworn to eradicate the curse of vampirism from this land.
The third story then centers on a film director, played by Stuart Whitman, who's off for the weekend location scouting, trying to find an eerie, half-deserted village in which to shoot an atmospheric horror movie.
You see, I'd like to use this village for a film. A film for the cinema. But whose permission do I need? Who runs things around here?
Round things. The elders.
How do I contact them?
They'll be here soon.
So maybe the coolest part of the third story is actually kind of a production cheat. There's a sequence that is this long, expositional, special effects heavy bit that they don't shoot, they just draw, and they just show us this artwork that looks a lot like Bernie Wrightson from the 60s or 70s EC Comics days, but apparently is an artist named John Bolton, and it's awesome.
Then one night when the moon was full, I saw it. Cursed be the eyes that see, the ears that hear, feeding in the churchyard.
One of my favorite scenes has the band Night. They're playing in the Monster Club, and they play this song about being a stripper, while at the same time we see what has to be one of the best strip scenes ever filmed.
Beautiful bones, don't you think? Magnificent.
My favorite song in the movie is by B.A. Robertson, who sings this just ridiculous and wonderful vampire love song.
I'm just a sucker for your love. I'm just a sucker for your love. I'm just a sucker for your love.
I feel like the Monster Club might be better known today if it featured bigger bands in the wraparound story. Don't get me wrong, I love every song in the movie, but the most famous band involved with the project is probably UB40, and they're not even in the movie. They just have a song in the soundtrack. I guess they'll always have a music war. If you're looking to watch something unapologetically goofy and totally charming this Halloween, my recommendation is The Monster Club. It would make a really nice double feature with Asylum from 1972. Both are Milton Subotsky produced anthology films directed by Roy Ward Baker, and both feature segments with Britt Ekland. Also, every horror fan that I know who has kids is always on the hunt for great horror they can share with the little ones. If you show The Monster Club to a kid, you're guaranteed to have a Vincent Price fan for life.
We have to take our food directly from the source, and it becomes more difficult constantly. People are so well educated these days. It's all those horror films and television. Everybody knows about garlic and stakes through the heart.
Yes, we all have our cross to bear.
I'd rather you didn't use that word.
The version that I watched is the 2013 Blu-ray from Scorpion Releasing. There's also a Scorpion Releasing DVD and an out-of-print Pathfinder DVD from 2006. Finally, Network released a Region 2 DVD in 2006 and a Region B Blu-ray in 2014. That Blu-ray contains an isolated music score audio track, so you can hear all those glorious songs on their own. Now, Matt, what is your Halloween horror pick this year?
My Halloween horror pick is a schlocky mid-80s monster mash called Neon Maniacs. Directed by Joseph Mangine, best known as the DP of Alligator or Mother's Day, this San Francisco set horror film has about a dozen or so. There's a lot of killers. It's not one Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. There's a dozen or so of them. They're kind of Village People style zombie monster things. They don't talk, they don't taunt you, they just kind of shamble around, but one of them's a biker and one's a samurai and one's a surgeon.
Introducing, in diabolical order, Axe, Hangman, Dog, Biker, Slash, Juice, Samurai, Mohawk, Archer, Soldier.
They all live together in the Golden Gate Bridge, and they come out at night to kill teenagers. And they can only be harmed by water, because why not? Is that ever explained? I'll have to let you watch that and find out yourself. It's never explained. Above anything else, though, is the ending here, where we've got all the Neon Maniacs descending on the Battle of the Bands at the local high school, which is taking place at a costume party where everybody's got squirt guns, and it becomes just an awesome splatterfest of Neon Maniac heads getting squirted off and arms flying and people getting gouged and hearts getting ripped out. Yeah, it's a mid-80s B-list gore fest of a fun little flick. It's not exactly scary, but it's cool.
Wow, a great Halloween horror pick. Thank you so much for recommending that.
Sure. It's cheesy, it's something, it's weird, I don't know. I kind of love it. Check it out.
Okay. All right, and thank you for watching. If you've been watching the show, you know that we're doing an audience choice episode coming up. Now, the polling for that is closed. We have the movie, we're preparing the episode, and you should look for that in 1 week next Wednesday. So thanks for watching Pop Culture Beast's Halloween Horror Picks. I'm your host, Ryan Stockstead, along with guest host Matt Dinan.
Why, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, of course. No, thanks so much for coming out. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Good times.
All right. Be sure to like Pop Culture Beast Halloween Horror Picks on Facebook and subscribe for new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in October right here on the Pop Culture Beast YouTube channel. Thanks again for watching. Watch horror movies. I'll see you next time.